Hello Year 6. Today is Friday's English lesson and the final session for our persuasive advert writing unit. Yesterday you chose your own image for a new advert with an environmental message and you started to plan some ideas that you would use to persuade your reader to really sit up and take notice. Today we're trying to employ a range of techniques in our writing to ensure our advert stays in the reader's minds for long after they've seen it and to make them care about the message. Today is your chance to use all of the techniques that we've learnt about to create as much pathos as you can and write your own powerful, persuasive advert. So, to get us started, get your picture and your planning notes ready in front of you, as you may well want to add ideas to it as we have a look through the model together. Before I show you how I've written mine, I want to remind you of the advert Extinction Can't Be Fixed from yesterday, as there are lots of techniques used that we might want to magpie and we're aiming for a similar feel today. So make sure you've got your planning sheet now and we'll take a look. Can you imagine a world without the sheer beauty of a wild tiger, or the prowling, purring, pure elegance of a panther? With every brutal swing of the axe and ugly rumble of the bulldozer, the Amazon rainforest is fast disappearing. Every 60 seconds another acre is felled. In the deafening silence, the rainforest mourns the death of yet another species. Gone forever, to return never. Our planet deserves better. Our children deserve a better future. In a world where everything can be easily man-made, manufactured and man-handled, just take a moment to remember, extinction can't be fixed. And remember what we did yesterday. We looked through our checklist that you've got on your planning sheet there in front of you right now. Let's take a look at the rhetorical question, for instance. This one began with it. Can you imagine a world without the sheer beauty of a wild tiger? Take a look at your notes. Have you used a rhetorical question in yours? Every single feature that we check through now, just check back on your planning. Have you got an example of that you're going to use today? Now, you might well have decided that you're not going to use everything on here. This advert didn't use everything on here, but you want to make sure that you've got a good range, and most importantly, that emotive language. The emotive language, the sheer beauty, brutal swing, the ugly rumble. Have you got enough emotive language on your plan? Every single thing that we check, just take a moment. Have you got that example? This advert used alliteration brilliantly. Prowling, purring, pure, panther. Man-made, manufactured, man-handled, moment. Don't forget about the juxtaposition. We spoke a lot about that this week. Are you using that concept of those two stark contrasting ideas side by side? This advert began with it. It began with the beauty of the tiger right next to the ugliness of the Amazon rainforest fast disappearing. Have you used that technique in your writing? Are you going to put two very contrasting ideas side by side? Do you have a simile in yours? Or a metaphor? This one didn't have any, but I definitely am going to use some on my planning. Personification. I'm actually going to borrow this exact version for mine because magpieing is what good writing is all about, taking some ideas and adding them to yours. The personification in this advert was the rainforest mourns. I think I'm going to change this to rainforest grieves in mine just to make it a little bit more my own. Now remember the lesson that we had about oxymorons, two words used together that have got completely contrasting meanings, deafening, silence. If it's silent then it can't be deafening at the same time. Do you have an example of oxymoron in yours? And you might well have taken some of the hints that you had from Mrs. Thornley's poetry learning that you did before half term. Do you have any onomatopoeia, any rumble, purring? Take a few moments now, add some detail to your planning, and when you're ready, we're going to go through a model text together, one that I've written for the advert that I chose, which was all about the fur industry and how we shouldn't be buying and wearing fur. So pause the video now while you make sure that your planning is complete and you've got as much on there as you need, and then we'll take a look at the model together. Now if you're looking for some alternative ideas, there's a support sheet of useful sentence openers, useful verbs that you could use for personification, some ideas of similes, oxymorons and some onomatopoeic words that I've put on the Google Drive for you, which looks like this. So if you're struggling, this is where you need to look. You might be able to change up some of these ideas and just add them to your plan or add them in as you write. So that'll be a good place to start. Now we're back together, I want to show you just how I've put my model text together. I've been thinking about the checklist as I've written this, and I've colour-coded some of the sentences so that you could see how I've made sure that I've employed the techniques that I wanted to here. And I've kept the picture, the fashion claims more victims than you think picture, to one side, just to keep the message in my mind as I write. So here we go. Here's my very first sentence. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the fashion show of the century. Watch as these fur-clad supermodels strut their stuff in the latest fashion. Now you might recognise that kind of language because straight away the technique that I'm trying to employ is that juxtaposition, the idea that we got from the advert that we looked at on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm going for the language of the fashion show here, of how exciting it is. So you're right, the next sentence that I want to use is going to be that contrast. So from welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the fashion show of the century, watch as these fur-clad supermodels strut their stuff in the latest fashion. I'm going with this idea. High-end quality skins from the senseless slaughter of defenceless creatures, coats that look better on the animal than you. Can you see the juxtaposition between the two here? And I've also used some alliteration. Senseless slaughter and defenceless is a really emotive word to drive it home to the reader that these creatures really have no choice. On I go. Every year, the population of jaguars living in the wild shrinks due to persistent poaching. It's a fact that I want my reader to know and really gets that message across, and I use some alliteration again there. Now for my simile. The solution is as simple as reading SMLXL. And I explained that idea to you yesterday as I was coming up with it, that it's a bit of a play on words. I've used a solution is as simple as reading SMLXL. I can see I've got alliteration in there again as well. That wasn't deliberate, by the way. Don't buy fur products. It is the only choice. That's my oxymoron. And I want to get repetition across in my advert, so I'm going to repeat that word don't. If we don't buy them, they have no value to the illegal looters who shoot these majestic creatures for their skins. I think calling the looters illegal looters and the creatures majestic creatures adds that emotive language, that pathos that I'm trying to create in the advert. On to my final few lines now. So check the labels. I can see I need a comma. So check the labels. Are you wearing fake fun fur that's sustainable, created by the designer of your choice, or material that the rainforest grieves, created and mourned by Mother Nature herself? Now this is a rhetorical question. So check the labels. Are you wearing fake fun fur that's sustainable, created by the designer of your choice, or material that the rainforest grieves, here's my personification, created and mourned by Mother Nature herself? Personification again here, making us think that the rainforest is a living, breathing thing, that Mother Nature is a real human being who has those feelings. And I had some alliteration in there again. So I've got three things in this part. I've got alliteration, I've got my personification, and I've got a rhetorical question to the reader. And I've got another rhetorical question now. In a world where almost everything has a monetary value placed upon it, isn't it time to see the real worth? Now I can see that I need a comma in here. In a world where almost everything has a monetary value placed upon it, there needs to be a pause. This is what all writers do. You create a draft, and then as you're going back, you make sure that your punctuation makes the intention clear. And then I'm ready for my final two lines. A catwalk that is not fashionable at all. Do you recognise that? I've borrowed that. I've changed it up to make it my own, but I borrowed it from that first advert that we looked at. And then the strapline for the advert to finish. Fashion claims more victims than you think. And there we go. there's my advert all together. And I've gone through the checklist to make sure that I've used a good range of those features to create the pathos and get the message across that I really intended. So here's my presented advert. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the fashion show of the century. Watch as these fur-clad supermodels strut their stuff in the latest fashion. High-end quality skins from the senseless slaughter of defenceless creatures. Coats that look better on the animal than you. Every year the population of jaguars living in the wild shrinks due to persistent poaching. The solution is as simple as reading SMLXL. Don't buy fur products. It is the only choice. If we don't buy them, they have no value to the illegal looters who shoot these majestic creatures for their skins. In a world where almost everything has a monetary value placed upon it, isn't it time to see the real worth? So check the labels. Are you wearing fake fun fur that's sustainable, created by the designer of your choice, or material that the rainforest grieves, created and mourned by Mother Nature herself? A catwalk that is not fashionable at all. Fashion claims more victims than you think. Now it's over to you. You're going to write your advert today and check it back through carefully. Make sure that you're using punctuation accurately so that it reads clearly. You've got your checklist there to help you go back and make sure that you've included everything that you'd like to. If you'd like to use the template for writing today, which is on the Google Drive, you can print that out, add the picture. But if not, go ahead and present your advert in any way that you want. If you're not printing out anything, just make sure that you put a title at the top to show us which advert you chose to write about, although I'm sure from your writing it will be very clear. Good luck with your writing for today. The teachers and I are really looking forward to being persuaded by you. And for those of you who are interested, Greenpeace have recently released another advert in the style of There's a Orangutan in my bedroom. It's called There's a Monster in my kitchen. It's all about the meat industry, so it's not for the faint-hearted, but if you'd like to take a look, then you'll find it on YouTube, I'm sure. Well done, Year 6. I can't wait to see you all very soon.